Good evening, good evening, good evening. Please, if you can hear me, please let me know, okay? If you can hear me, please just let me know in the comment section. I really don't want. Hello, good evening. Please, if you can hear me, let me know on the comment section, please. It's like, oh, good evening, is it Javad? I mean, Jared. Don't come and start be talking rubbish. Oh. I will just block you, dear. You better behave yourself this evening. All right, guys. So let me know if my sound is okay. If you can hear me, please let me know. Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Somebody should please just let me know in the comment section, okay? So I'm just going to adjust my camera. I really don't have much time. I've been so busy almost all day. So guys, can you hear me? This is my other phone. Let me see. Let me know if sound is okay, please. Why would they not restrict your message? Somebody should please let me know on the comment section, okay? If our sound is okay, if we are good to go, that we can continue. Okay, so I'm just trying to check.
Can you speak and write in good English? And if your answer is yes, you should be earning at least.
Please, can you hear me? Please, can you hear me? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to start anyway. I don't have too much time to start waiting for the good Samaritan that will help me and confirm. Those people that are there that don't want to comment, it's okay. So let me just continue what I'm doing. So when you want to do a conical corset like this, the first thing we're going to do, if you notice, it has shoulder. So I have some lines on my pattern paper already. So I'm just going to, okay, so these are the measurements that we're going to be using. Our bust is going to be 36. And then our under bust is going to be 30. And then our waist is going to be 34. So these are the three basic measurements that we're going to use. The next thing we're going to do now, I have some lines here. So the first I have here is my shoulder line. Excuse me. And then from that shoulder line, this first line is my bust point line. That's my bust point. And then from that line, from the shoulder to my under bust is 13. That's my under bust. And then from my shoulder to my waist, thank you so much, Sylvia, God bless you. So from shoulder to my waist is 18. Okay, so these are the three basic measurements. We're drafting the part first. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to add our shoulder measurement. So for the shoulder that I'm going to be using, I'll use shoulder 14. So I'll divide 14 into 2, and then I'm going to have 7, and then I'll add 1 inch as allowance. So from that 1 inch, I'm just going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'll connect that line back to that line. So this will be as, it will act as my shoulder slope. Sometimes this place. So from this part, I'm going to come down 8 inches. So this 8 inches, I'll use it as my armhole line. So in how to calculate your armhole, how to get your armhole line, the measurement, you can divide your bust measurement by 6 and then add 1.5, or you can just divide your armhole by 2. That's not your armpit, and then divide it by 2. Okay, so for mine I have 8, and then from that 8 I'll just put a mark there, and then I'll mark this out like this. So this is going to serve as my back armhole. So the next thing we are going to do, we're going to add all of this measurement. You guys please like the video. Those of you that are online, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. Just check this side, you see 3 dots. Hit on the like button. Okay, so our measurements the bust is 36. So when you divide 36 into 4, I'm going to have 9. I'll mark my 9. Okay, then let's take out our dart. So for the dart, so I'm using a princess dart pattern. I'll take a dart of 4.5 inches. So how did I get this 4.5 inches? For my this 4.5 inches serves as my bust span. That is from one nipple to another. Excuse me. So I'll divide that. What I have is 9. I'll divide that into 2, and then I'm going to have 4.5. So that 4.5, I'm just going to mark it across all of this line except the chest line. So like I said, you guys should please like my video. Like my video, please, okay? So you guys remember the line that we marked that time. So we're going to come back to it. So from this line, so I'm just going to use like dotted line. So this is going to serve as my back pattern. Okay, good evening. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. You're welcome. And thank you for commenting. God bless you. So the princess dart, so from part, that's this armhole. You know this armhole is 8 inches. So you come to middle. So from that middle, you just connect a line. Let it join to the dart line that we measured earlier. You just take it this way. So when you are doing back one, you don't want it to be very curvy, because if it is too curvy, you are going to have issues when you are sewing. Okay, so you just connect it to this point like that, and then you are going to leave that. So for the back that the next thing you are going to do, we're going to mark the neckline. So our neckline, I'll use 3.5 inches width for my neckline, and then the depth of the neckline for the back neckline, I'm going to come as much as, so it depends on how deep you want it to be. You can come as much as 7 inches, you can use 6 inches, or you can even use 8 inches. Depends on how deep you really want that back neckline to be. Okay, so for this I'll just use 7 inches, and then I'm going to mark it out. Okay, so for that back neckline, if you notice, originally the neckline that we have here is like a square neckline. So it's like a sweetheart neckline rather. So for the back one, you can decide square, or you can decide to make it round. So for this square for today, so you can see I'm going to mark that square. I'll mark it this way, and then I'll connect it to this way. So you can rule this line, you can rule it as long as you want, but just make sure that when you get to this part, you are going to connect it to this point like this. Okay, so that is going to serve as our square neckline. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to take out our full body measurement. So our full body measurement, our bust measurement is 36. We divide 36 into 4, we're going to have 9 inches, and then we're going to add inches allowance. The reason for adding 3 inches allowance is that we're going to take out our dart 1 inch from that part. Okay, and then the under bust is 30, which is 7.5, and then we'll add the same 3 inches as allowance, and then our waist is 34. So 34, which is 8.5. Yeah, you divide all of these measurements into 4, and then I'll add my, so for the down part, the waist part, I'm going to add 3.5 inches as my allowance. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, all of these lines, I'm going to connect them together. Okay, so in connecting them together, you can see the way I'm placing my pattern curve. So now the next thing I'm going to do now, since it's a conical pattern, I'm going to elongate the back measurement. So the back is not going to stop at the waist area. So what I'm going to do, depending on how deep I want this to be, so I'm going to come down. The blouse is going to be like 23 inches, okay? So that 23 inches, the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to connect this line like this, okay? So I'll connect this line like this, and then at this point I'm going to add my hip measurements now. So the hip measurement that I'm going to use 40. So I'll divide 40 into 4. I have 10 inches, and then I am going to add like 3.5 inches again as my allowance, okay? So I'm going to just connect this dot, and the next thing I am going to do, I am going to mark this like this. Just watch what I am doing, okay? So the next thing now, I want to create that shape. So in order for me to create that shape, this part I'm going to, when you want to create that shape, you're going to snatch the waist line from this part. So in doing that, what I'm going to do, hi, good evening. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in by 1 inch, okay? So I'm going to come in by 1 inch like this into the waist part. So when I come in by 1 inch, I am just looking, so from my bust line, I'm just going to connect that part like that. So once I connect, the next thing I am going to do, so this part, I really need, as I need to use my hand to like blend it, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to, from this part, I'm going to open up a little bit to create that conical curve, understand? So in order for me to open up a little bit more, I'll just elongate this part a little bit. So this, you can actually do it however you want to do it. So I added an extra of like 2 inches to my pattern, okay? So the next thing, just watch what I am doing. So from my armhole, from my, the network, I don't know, the network is fluctuating. So you can see what I did. So I came in by 1 inch from my under bust to like reduce my under bust in, because I needed it to go in. And then from that part I came out for my hip line, I came out by an extra of like 2 inches. Can you see? You see the shape that it is giving. So from this part, the next thing I am going to, and then curve this in like this, okay? So for this, I can decide to do it however I want to, you understand? So it depends on how high you want it to be or how low. So for this, I'm just going to use my hand. So normally I'm supposed to use like a pencil, okay? I'm supposed to use like a pencil. So from this part, this middle part, I went up like 2 inches, okay? And then from this part, I'll just create a curve, let it come into this part, okay? So I hope you guys are getting what I am doing. So for this, like I normally say most times, you are bringing your creativity to life when doing some kind of patterns. So you are just actually bringing your creativity. So you can see what I am doing. Can you see? So the next thing on this part now. So this is our back pattern. So the back pattern is not going to be, the back is not going to, the basque for the back is not going to be too deep. So can you see? You see the shape. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to cut out that pattern. Can you see how simple and easy this is? And then the next thing, so for our back neckline, I decided to use a deep back neckline for this pattern. So you can actually do any neck of your choice. You can do any neckline. You can see how beautiful our pattern is looking. This is the back pattern, and it is so beautiful. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it yet, because I'm going to use this to cut the front pattern also. So because when you need the side of the back and the front them to be the same, so I'm not going to cut out the pattern yet until I. So if you want to do a proper waist snatching, for those of you that have been following me, you know how to do that already. You can decide to take out as much as inches or 3 inches, depends on how many inches from your waist area. Okay, so that's for the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I want to cut out this. So this ruler is easier to use this one to cut. See? All right, so the next thing now, we're going to place all of our lines back into our patterns. Okay, into our pattern, no patterns, one pattern. So I'll place, so this is my shoulder line. So from the shoulder to my bust point, I am using 10 inches. So I'll mark my 10 inches, and then from that point to my under bust, I am using 13 inches. And then from that part to my waist, I'm using 17.5. And then the full length, I am using 24.5. That's like the end part of my pattern paper. So you can do as much as 25 because of that depth at the basque effect. Okay, so I'll just rule all of my lines like this. So I'll rule all of them like this. The next thing I am going to do, I'm going to start drafting. Okay, so the shoulder measurement we're using 14. So you divide 14 into 2, I'm going to have 7 inches. I'll add 1 inch for my allowance, and then from that part I'll mark 1 inch. So this 1 inch is going to serve as my shoulder, is going to serve as my shoulder slope. So I'll connect it that way, and then I'll use 8 inches for my armhole like I explained earlier. So I'll connect it that way. The next thing I am going to do, I'll take the set of these 8 inches. So if you have questions, please, you can drop your question on the comment section. So when I am done, I will just go through them, and then I'll reply the messages. So can you see? So I came out by 1/4 of an inch because it is a front armhole. So the next thing we're going to do now, let's take out our dart. So for the dart, I'm using 4.5 inches, just like we did before. So that's my bust pan measurement. Okay, so I'll just mark it across all of the lines except the chest line. So now I'll label my line. This is my chest line, my bust point, under bust, waist, and then full length. Okay, so after marking that, I am going to connect. I'll use my ruler like this, my straight ruler. I'll connect all of those lines together like this. So after connecting it, the next thing we want to do, if you notice, the neckline that we have is like a sweetheart kind of square neckline. So the next thing we'll do, let's go and create out our neckline first. So from this part, I am going to, okay, before then, let's take out our darts for our princess dart. Okay, so I'm going to come to the under bust area. So for the dart, I want to take out 2 inches for my dart. So that 2 inches, I'll place it here like this, and then from that part, I am going to connect it to, I'll connect it to this point, to that bust point area. You understand? So I'll connect it this way, and then after connecting it, the next, remember this middle part. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Comfort, God bless you. Thank you, God bless you. I appreciate. Okay, so from this part, this half of this armhole, I'm just going to create, I'm just trying to use dotted lines, okay? So I'll connect it to meet that bust point. Can you see? You can see our cup is formed. And then from this part, I'm going to come down. So I'll bring this line, these 2 inches that I use for my dart. I'll just bring it down that way. And then now, since I've seen it that it is okay, I can now mark it normally like this. Can you see? See how beautiful this princess is looking? So the next thing I'm excuse me, the next thing I'm going to do, I want to take out a little bit of that from this part, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 1 inch. So that 1 inch, I'll divide it into 2, ½ inch here and then ½ inch here. So when I do that, what I'm going to do, I'm just blend this into, can you see, I'm just blending it into this part. It's not like there's any special deal. So this is just to help this part to be tight, okay? So that's the essence. So when you do this, the next thing, you are going to extend this line, you understand? Because if you cut it this way, it's going to get truncated. So most times I used to put as much as 2 inches on my own pattern. So from that part, I will connect it. I will have a new armhole at this point. So I'll just hit from this point like this, and then I'll hit it this way. So this will help me have like a new armhole. Can you see? So you can see what. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to take out my full body measurement, okay? So our full body measurement, the measurement we used earlier, our bust was 36, under bust 30, waist 34, and then our hip was 40. Okay, so for the bust of 36, you divide 36 into 4, we have 9 inches. So I'll place it that way, and then I'm going to I'm going to place 3 inches or 3.5 inches. Okay, so I'll place that, and then you can see it here. So I'll come to my under bust area. So the under bust area, I'm using 30, which is 7.5, and then I'll add back my 2 inches, and then I'll add my stitching allowance, okay? And then I'll come to my waist area, which is 34. So I'll divide 34 into 4. I'm going to have 8.5, and then I would add my 2 inches that, and then add my stitching allowance, okay? So just watch what I am doing for those of you that did not see. So I'll just connect like this first, and then the hip part I am going to add. So for the hip part, I'm using 40, so I'll divide 40 into 4, I have 10, and then I am going to add my 2 inches and then add my stitching allowance, okay? So I'll add my stitching allowance of like 2 inches thereabout, and then I would connect this like this, okay? So after connecting, you remember that our front pattern, we did something here, around here, okay? So before we come back, let's mark out our neckline. So our neckline is like, it's like a sweetheart neckline. So we're using 3.5 inches for the width, and then for the depth of this front one, we're going to use 5 inches. So that 5 inches, just watch what I am doing. I am going to connect this. So I am just doing this. Normally the neckline did not extend up to that point, and then I'll connect this like this, okay? So after connecting it, the next thing I am going to do, I want to create this curve. So that was why I elongated it this way. So in order for me to create this curve, here's what I'm going to do. From this part, I'm just going to do like a back flip. Can you see? Can you see? Just create a back flip. So it depends on how deep you want that to be, okay? So for this, let's check this out. So we can decide to do from that middle. So with this, what we have here is like 1 inch, which is okay. So that's how simple and easy this neckline is. But if you want it to really curve more, you are going to come up like 2 inches. So when you come up like 2 inches, you are just going to use, most times I really don't like this thing. I really don't like this thing. This the neckline, at times it can be confusing. You understand? So I'll just do this. And so I'm back flipping. You understand? That is back flipping. If not, it can get confusing at times. And even now, right now I'm getting confused. It's back flip, not right flip. That's like this, not like this. That's it's coming like this to create it. So when we're cutting, we're going to cut this one first and then check it. Okay. So that is why it's good for you to learn how to draft patterns. So the next thing we're going to do now for the waist snatching area for us to get the conical curve, I'm going to come to this my under bust part. So I'm going to take out 1 inch from it. So I'll mark my 1 inch like this. So when I mark my 1 inch from this part, I am going to create a line. That's I'm going to create a line like this. So when I create this line, the next thing I am going to do, I'll create a curve like this. Can you see what I am doing? So when I create this curve to hit my waistline, the next thing I'm going to my hip area, I'm going to come out with like 2 inches. Okay. So when I come out with 2 inches, I am going to mark and then connect that to that 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So can you see? You can see the shape. It has already come out. So the next thing you are going to do now, this part, which is the center part, how deep you want it to be. So I'm going to use the same 24 inches that I used here. So what I'm going to do from this part, in order for us to get that 24, what you are going to do depends on how high you go. Can you see? Depends on how high you go. So when you go high, so it is always good for you to play around with your patterns like this. You understand? So it makes pattern drafting really easy for you. But if you are just doing like a straight jacket, you find that pattern drafting will be so difficult for you. But when you learn, just learn to enjoy it and play around with it. Okay. So after marking it like this, so now at this point now I can now check what I have. So you can see I have about I came up by like 3.5 inches, okay, to create that conical curve. So you can see how beautiful it is looking with all of the alterations that I made. So it looks good and nice. It looks okay. So I am going to connect it now. So at this point now, create like my back part here and then come up like this. So to give you that curve. So this one I just decided to do it again. Normally you can take pattern, so you can see this is our back pattern. You can just take it and then place it at the side, understand, and then cut, and then everything is going to be okay. But if you don't want to do that, so first of all, let's try this our neckline first. So it's that one that's correct. It's this one that is the correct one. I thought that's the first one I did, okay? So now let's cut out our shape. Can you guys see? Can you see how beautiful the shape already looks like? So it is a simple process, okay? So when you have a job like this, don't be afraid to try it. Can you see? You see how beautiful the shape is looking? Yes, it is really beautiful. So I'll just cut out my darts for my princess darts. And you guys see how beautiful our pattern looks. you can see how beautiful it came out, really fine and nice. So I am going to stop our tutorial here for tonight. So you can see it came out really fine. The shape is beautiful. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I forgot that I am doing live stream and it is not a video. So please like this live stream, okay? I would appreciate it. Like the live stream. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Because I never do makeup. I've been so busy. I'm out. So good night, everyone. God bless you all that tuned in. So let me see. God bless you, all the good people. Comfort, good evening. God bless you. Thank you so much. Aisha, Adam, God bless you. Joy, God bless you. Thank you so much. Sylvia, thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless you all that tuned in and that commented. God bless you all.